Hi, my name is David Hills and I am Senior Director at Ark Workplace Risk. We're working to develop a series of short, informative videos on the key elements of the new building safety regime, the Building Safety Act and the associated legislation. In this video, I'll be focusing on the new requirements regarding fire doors and fire door inspections. Under the Fire Safety England regulations, which comes into force on the 23rd of January 2023, the responsible person must undertake quarterly checks of all fire doors within the common parts, and in addition, undertake on a best endeavour basis annual checks of all flat entrance doors that lead into the common parts. This requirement has been introduced to ensure that doors are not damaged and they are not left in a state of disrepair, and that they operate in the way that they should, i.e. prevent smoke, fire and gas spread. Now, this requirement applies to all multi-occupied residential buildings in England with stories over 11 metres in height. Now, in respect of flat entrance door checks, the regulations require that responsible persons make best endeavours to complete these. It will be down to the responsible person to determine what this actually means and what is the best approach to engage with residents in order to gain access to undertake these annual checks. We would suggest, though, that you have to communicate with residents in writing and agree with residents a date for those inspections so access can be granted. Residents should be encouraged to allow responsible persons access. You can make use of the requirements to provide communication under these regulations, or make use of the residents' engagement strategy required under the Building Safety Act of 2022 to communicate with residents and explain why these inspections are so important. If access cannot be gained, if access cannot be agreed or is denied, we would recommend that the responsible person should gather all of the evidence of the steps that they have taken to discharge their duties and record this as evidence. This is, of course, going to include correspondence between the responsible person and the resident themselves. Now, in respect of the inspections, the minimum requirement under the regulations is for the responsible person to undertake an inspection of the door to identify any obvious damage or issues. And at this stage, it should not be necessary to engage a specialist for these checks, as the government believe that the responsible person should be able to carry out these checks themselves. During such checks, responsible persons should consider if there have been any alterations to the door or damage to the door, the frame and any glazing. You should consider if there are any excessive gaps around the door frame and that seals and hinges are fitted correctly. You should be considering if the door closing device shuts the door fully and that the door closes around the frame completely. And finally, you should consider any wear and tear issues to any parts of the door, the hardware, including the door closer. Now, if there are issues identified at this stage, it may be appropriate to undertake a more detailed check of those fire doors. And this may include engaging a specialist to support you. In addition to the checks, the regulations also require that responsible persons provide all residents of multi-occupied residential buildings with 2 or more sets of domestic premises, no matter what height, with very specific information on the importance of such fire doors to the building's fire safety arrangements. The information should be given to the residents and should not only cover the importance of keeping doors closed, but also that doors and cell closing devices should not be tampered with, and that any faults or damage to these doors should be reported immediately. Residents should receive this information when they move in and then on an annual basis. Our tip will be to ensure that you have a plan and you implement this plan immediately to undertake the necessary fire door checks and provide the relevant information to residents. This should form part of your day-to-day safety management system and possibly be included within your safety case. Some management systems, such as CUDA, allow you to store and record details of fire door checks, the risk posed, and then any tasks that are needed. Again, it should be noted that these regulations come into force on the 23rd of January 2023. Thank you for listening. If you would like more information or see how Ark's Building Safety Assurance Service makes it easy to manage risk, compliance and safety at your building, then you can contact us using the details provided. Thank you.